Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to continue work on this 727 automatic transmission. We're going to pull apart this front pump, check its clearance, and then while we're at it, we're going to do a little bit of machine work to this stator. Let's get to it. Today we're going to continue work on this. We're going to take this front pump apart and check the clearances in here. And then we're going to take the stator over to the mill, and there's a hole right here. We're going to enlarge this hole just a little bit. What that's going to do is that'll allow more fluid to get to that direct clutch. First thing you want to do is just look for any physical problems, any gouges, obvious grooves. As with most things in this transmission, this looks really good. These dogs are what the torque converter drives, so check those. These look fantastic. This also looks to be in great shape. Next, we're going to check for wear on these pump gears. The nice thing here is we can do it old school with a piece of paper. So just take a piece of paper, peel off a strip. First thing we want to check is the clearance here to make sure they haven't worn down too far. I'm going to use a machinist square. So this square is touching on the pump here and the pump housing here. But we have a gap here where it's on this outer pump gear. This piece of paper we want just there. So you can see pump gear here and here. Shouldn't be able to pull that out of there. This paper is about 3/1000 thick. So what that tells us is the distance from this pump gear to the face of this pump housing is less than 3/1000, which is where we want it. Next, take the inner pump gear out. Then we're going to check the clearance on this outer gear. To check the clearance of this outer gear, we're going to take another strip of paper. It's about the same width as this is high. So take your gear and your piece of paper. Goes down in, and grab the piece of paper, it slides right out. So that tells us that the gap there is more than the thickness of this paper, so more than 3/1000. Take it, fold it over. Try it again. And now I can't get this down in there. If I can get this gear in with the doubled over piece of paper down in there, then either this is worn out or the pump housing is worn out. This one looks good. Next up, I'm going to drive that seal out. It has to come out from the front. You can see this bushing gets staked in to keep it from rotating. Because it's staked on this side, I'm going to push it from this side down. Before we take this bushing out, note where it is to begin with. So this is the front side, this is toward the inside. The top of the bushing is right at about even with the bottom of that bevel. So when we put the new one in, we want it in that same place. I'm using a 51mm bushing tool. The new bushing, we're going to push in from the same direction. Well, there's part of the learning process. That bushing, a little hard to tell here, but it's tweaked to shit. So, it's garbage. Gotta get another one. Live and learn. I've got a new bearing here. In an attempt to not make this one look all mangled like this one, I'm going to adjust my tool. So I've got these bushing pushers or pullers or whatever, bushing tools anyway. I'm going to make this, you can see it fits just a little bit bigger than the bushing. I'm going to cut a step in it so that it's got a face that goes just inside the bushing so that it's got something to hold it square as it goes in. Now we have a step, and that bushing fits down on there nicely. Keeps it from drifting. So let's push this in. First, I'm going to try to start it by hand. The key is to make sure it goes down the same amount all the way around. You want to be going down straight. Okay, it's now flush with this part of the housing. So this won't push it any further, but I know it needs to go in a little bit more. I'm going to move from this modified 53mm down to a 51. Now you have to be very careful to make sure you're centered. You can see it's right down to the bottom of the bevel, which is where the old one was when we pulled it out. Next, we need to stake it into these little recesses. I'm just going to use a piece of flat steel. Now we've staked it into those pockets. That'll keep that bearing from being able to turn. The next thing we want to do is we want to enlarge this hole in the stator by about 50%. We don't want to go this way or this way with it. We want to go this way, make it oblong. So we're going to try to do that in the mill, but first we've got to remove these two rings here. The way you get these apart, so I'm going to apply pressure here with my thumb. The way you get these apart is I'm going to apply pressure here with my thumb, and then with my fingers, I'm going to rotate around. You can see that causes them to separate. And then they come apart. Alright, we're going to go see if we can get this chucked up into the mill. It's a little bit large for my mill, but we'll give it a try. Just to show you the work holding here. Get it like this. There's that hole right there. This comes down. And let's see if I can get some light on that for you. Hold on. So that comes down right into the hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down in, lock the Z, then we'll move this direction and this direction. In the end, I probably went 10 thousandths each direction, so I opened it up about 20 side to side. You can see it's not a lot bigger, but it's bigger. So it's no longer round, it's oblong. That's going to allow more fluid coming through here, through there. We now have to drive in this pump seal. So it's going to go right here. We're going to use really the same tool, this time with a 74 millimeter. You want to go until it's fully seated. It's really close. This seals on the torque converter. Now we could lubricate these now, or we can make sure we remember to lubricate them before we install the torque converter. The challenge with waiting is this is going to go on here, and now you can't get lubrication down into that bushing. So it's best to do it now. Now we install the pump gears. Because we don't want anything dry when we start this thing up, we're going to give it a little film of lubrication here. Same thing with this one. You can see it doesn't need to be thick. We just want to make sure that it has some lubrication up until the point that fluid gets pumped up into the unit out of the pan. Same thing on this face down here. Now, to make your life easier when you install the torque converter, if you look down that bore there, it's pretty straight, which is what you want. You don't want it like that. Right? Where there's this step, then the torque converter won't engage quite properly. Just makes it a little easier if it's already a straight line. Now we're going to install the reaction shaft. Note, it's got these 3 inlets where pressure comes in from here, goes through. Needs to line up with these 3 holes here. So these 2 bolt holes go here. There we go. Front pump is assembled. You may want to lubricate this bushing now, or remember to do it when we're assembling. I'll do it when we're assembling the whole transmission. That's all there is to it. Thanks for watching.